Hello, everyone. So good to be with you this evening. Got a brand new week in front of us. I'm very excited about coming to you this week. Got a couple of things I want to share with you. I want to tell you, man, we have had one heck of a week. Actually, the last couple of weeks. As you know, we had this winter storm hit down in our area, which is, I don't know exactly how true it is, but they said it was the worst storm that we've had in 100 years, which is quite remarkable. Seriously, that is a remarkable thing. And it was, we had a lot of snow, but then we had a lot of ice. Well, the ice caused, the freezing temperature. We got down into single digit, which for us, I know a lot of you guys way up north, you guys have that all the time, but we don't. We just simply weren't prepared for it. We'll get prepared for it, but we weren't this time. And the problem was that when it got cold, a lot of the water stayed in some of the lines, and as a result, the lines began to bust. Even though I had turned off one of the lines, I turned at my house. I had turned off my water line. And it still busted. The copper line that I had busted in like 10 different places. I mean, it's just incredible. I guess I still had it in the line even though I had turned it off. Well, you know what? I'm just not used to that. So I'm not really looking for something like that. And so it just flat hit us. But I began to learn some things that I really feel like I need to share with you in regard to this. Let me just quickly tell you the story. I went over to our church, and this was the day after the freeze. We were getting ready. I think it went over there like on a Thursday, and I was just going to make sure the building was okay for the coming service that was going to take place on Sunday. Well, man, I tell you what, I walked in. And, it's one of those things you look at and you think, I can't believe my eyes. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. The entire entryway, the entire foyer, down the hallways and even into the auditorium had about an inch of water in it. I thought, and I'm sitting there staring at that. It's like, I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And, I'm just thinking, oh my God, what in the world has taken place? But what we had a couple of lines that busted and then I guess thawed, and the water just ran like crazy. Well, it ran for probably 12, 15 hours, and it was some significant burst, which was astounding to me. I really was not prepared for what I saw. But here's the thing. Once we got that thing, I thought, well, let's just get some people in here, clean this thing out. We got some extractors, we got some vacuums, we got brooms. We had people all over the place. And I was just thinking, we're just going to get this thing completely cleared out. It's not going to be a problem. We'll just kind of vacuum this out, put some fans on our carpet, and it's going to be just fine. And I guess, the fact that I'm not really in that area I just didn't think about the extra damage that was going to be caused by this thing that happened. It was much more than just the fact of we cleared the thing out. Now let's get back to normal, because the little thing, the thing had legs. The little thing that was the problem that we solved didn't stop there. It went under the walls, and when it went under the walls, it caught the insulation, shot up the walls through the insulation, and just soaked the walls, soaked the sheetrock and the insulation. So what we had to do was go through and cut out all of the walls, cut out the insulation, dry that out as best we could. Then it looks like, it's got in the carpet. So we're going to have to pull the carpet up, and just on and on. I mean, it was just one problem after another. And I thought, isn't it amazing how one small problem that we have can create such a large disaster in our life? So there's a lot of things that we let into our life that are really small things when it happens. You almost think, nah, not that big of a deal, but we let it slide. Behaviors, attitudes, words, business dealings, inconsistencies in our life. It's almost like saying, I don't know how I gained the weight. You didn't gain it one pound at a time, or at least that's my experience. You gain it like a fraction of an ounce at a time. I mean, you gain it in such small proportions that you don't realize what the whole thing is growing up to being. And that's how many things that go wrong in your life. One thing happens, one tragedy, one disaster, one event, it happens, but we don't see what's happening down the line. I was looking at the scripture from James chapter 3, and it said, for we all stumble in many things. He said, if anybody doesn't stumble in the word, the same is a perfect man. This is from James chapter 3, and said, this man that doesn't stumble in his words is a mature man, and he's able to bridle the whole body. Then he went on and he gave the examples. He said, we put bits in horses' mouth that they obey us. We turn about their whole body. Then he talked about the ships. He said, look at the ships, although they're so great, so large, and they're driven of fierce winds. He said, they're turned about by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot wants to take it. And then he talked about the tongue. He said, even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. Behold, what a great forest fire that a little fire kindles. In other words, just a flame that looks so small, so insignificant, can cause such damage that you can't contain it. Now, that's really a lesson in life. What we saw in our church, we saw what looked like just a little pipe, a little problem that created a nuisance. It was a really lot of work, but I didn't see how far-reaching that problem was going to be. I didn't see how it was going to go into the sheetrock, into the insulation, into the carpet, it just goes on and on and on. So I want to just say to you that it's not always the big things that cause your life to stumble. The things that's causing you to fail, or to, somebody say, well, I just can't keep my marriage together. Well, let me just tell you this. That's very seldom ever the big things that causes your marriage to fail. It's all of the little habits, the inconsistencies, the small things that you just let slide by. They're the things that build up. Let me just give you like this. When you hear the saying that the straw that broke the camel's back, can I just tell you something? It wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. It was the accumulation of straws that broke the camel's back. It wasn't just one little thing. It was 1,000 little things that caused it to happen. Listen, if you're having problems in your marriage, problems in your relationships, even problems in your finance, you need to look no further than the small little inconsistencies, rudeness, hatefulness, not keeping your word, taking things that don't belong to you, taking people for granted, all of those little things that you just let slide by. Those are the things that cause the big storm in your life. And James talked about this. He said it was the horse's bit, the ship's rudder, the small flame. We're talking about the daily habits. Those are the things that shape your life. It's not the great big things. Let me just say this. Show me your habits, and I'll show you your future. Show me your habits. Show me those little bitty things, and I'll show you your future. I can tell you right now what you're going to become by looking at your habits. How do I get a habit? Well, just little thoughtless routines. That's it. And I heard one saying one time, it said it like this. It said that the chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. See, habits are things we do without thinking. They're comfortable. And it develops a pattern for us. And I've talked to you about this before, but I really feel like, given the things that we've been through, I really feel like I need to reiterate this situation. Because I talked about playing golf, for instance. Playing golf is a wonderful thing. I've played it for a number of years. And we have what we call developing bad habits in golf. Now, there's a position at the top of your swing, there's a position as you're coming down through the swing, and a position that you develop when you're coming on all the way to finish your swing. And a lot of times, people have bad habits. They don't have anyone to help them do the right things, so they develop bad habits, and then they develop what is called muscle memory. These are things that you get to where you just do it without thinking. That's why you have the exact same swing, whether it be a throwing it over the top or whatever the case, the way outside, inside swing, which causes a horrible slice. You know, the ball has no mind of its own. It just simply responds to how you hit it. And if you hit it from the inside out, you're going to get a hook. If you hit it from the outside in, you're going to get a slice. So you'll learn. But what happens is we just swing without thinking about it until we develop muscle memory, and then we're just doing things that we can see the end result we don't like. Well, I don't like it. I hit the ball and it's out into the woods. Well, why is that? Well, I just need to get some new clubs. It's not the clubs, baby. Listen to me. It's the habits, it's the swinging over and over and over that has developed the pattern, the muscle memory that's causing you to have the effect that you have. I had heard, I don't know exactly how true it is, but they were talking about Tiger Woods. They said because of his age, he began to age, and said he couldn't twist into a pretzel, and said that he changed his swing. His swing coach changed his swing. And they said that he almost had to take a year off, a season off, as he was trying to re-groove his swing. See, we have a groove to re-groove. Well, how do we get that? By habits. We do it over and over and over and over. You take 1,000 swings at the ball, and suddenly you just do it unconsciously. You don't even realize what you're doing. And you're getting the results in life because of the groove that you've cut for yourself. You're getting the results in life because of the muscle memory that you've developed. That comes from doing something over and over until it becomes a habit. And so it's the little tiny habits in your life that have produced the destination that you now live in. I want to say it like this. Congratulations. You have arrived. You have worked hard. All of your life, your habits, your discipline, you have disciplined yourself, even if it's a bad discipline, to bring you where you are right now. You have arrived. You say, well, I'm a failure. Well, you have worked hard to become that. I'm always broke. Well, you have really worked very hard to become that. It's become habits. Well, I have this physical problem. Well, you have worked very hard to reach the place that you are right now. Do you hear my heart on this? The point is the fact that the little tiny things that you do creates lifestyles that affect you in more than just one way. One little thing that you do over and over and over, you're thinking this isn't going to matter, but it grows. One little hole in the pipe affected everything until we have entire crews there working every day trying to capture the chaos. They're trying to manage the problems that was caused by one little thing. one little habit, one little problem that started out, and you would think, well, that's not going to cause that much problem. I mean, you can have a hole the size of a quarter or whatever of a dime. You can have a small hole in it, and it'll do an incredible amount. Again, it's the small things. It's the horse's bit. It's the ship's rudder. It's that small flame that causes a forest fire. And so I want to say that the little things, the flaws that you have, those little things, they remain unnoticed until a storm hits. When the storm hits, it puts pressure on those areas and they break. You have vulnerabilities under certain pressures, and those things become incredibly destructive to your life. And there's certain areas, those little things that you've been doing, that you have to go through an extra thing to insulate those areas. If you've got problems here, you should know that. And so you're going to have to insulate. Kind of like, we should have, the storm was coming. We should have insulated those areas that was going to have to be potential problems, but we didn't do it. We didn't do it, or at least we didn't do it effectively. So you have to understand that the little things in your life, they're the things that causes difficulties. I read this to our church this last week, and I'd like to read this to you. This is from the Song of Solomon, chapter 2. He talked about, catch us the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. You ever heard that saying? It's the little foxes that spoil the vines. Well, let me just read you just some commentary on that. I've got two things that I gave that I want to give to you also. It's Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 13. It refers to the growing romance between the couple. And it said, then the foxes in verse 15 represent potential problems that could damage the relationship prior to the marriage, which takes place in chapter 5. The command, in essence, is take preventative measures to protect this love from anything that could harm it. And then it goes on to the next little paragraph. Let me read this to you. It says, this is a wise and beautiful voice concerning the little foxes spoil the vine. He said, the vineyards are in bloom, and the romance is alive and growing and preparing to bear fruit. But there is a need to round up the foxes, the potential threats to a relationship that must be removed. As said, the foxes are little, which says it's the little things that are overlooked that often spoil the things of value. So in your life, those little things, those habits, those patterns that you've developed to where now you can just do it. It's muscle memory. You don't even have to think about it. You got the same swing all the way through every time, and you always have. That's why somebody who develops a slice in their golf game, that they can't break that. It's always the same thing. How could you have the exact same thing every time? Because your body has developed muscle memory to do those things. See, it doesn't have to be muscle memory for bad things. I've developed muscle memory for good things. I know the result that I want, so I have to do this and this and this enough times that it's a part of my life. I do it unconsciously. Now, see, that's the thing with you, and this is where I wanted to really bring you to today, is the fact that you're going to have to protect yourself from the little things, the little habits, the weird little things. You need to listen to other people once in a while. Someone says, I always have a problem with my relationships. Well, you need to listen sometimes. Are you being rude without really realizing you are? I mean, have you said it like that for so long that now you can just be rude to people and not even think about it? And that's affecting you. You may say, well, I don't care what they think. See, that's not true. That is not true. I hear people say things like that, and it's just simply not right. You do care what other people think about you. Now, you may throw up some mask and act like you don't, but you do. You care what people think, and you care what your future looks like. But if you don't preserve your future from the little things, your life is you're going to be broke. You're going to be alone. You're going to have the sense of being a failure. You're going to have to realize that it's these little things that have brought you to where you are right now. Have you ever seen somebody that's always late? I hope you're not that person. I hate being late. That frustrates the daylights out of me for me to be late. It doesn't frustrate me as much at other people being late as much as it does me being late. I hate that. It's a horrible feeling. My God. Because it feels like if I'm late to something on a consistent basis, what I'm saying to that person is, your time has no value to me. You know, I really don't care how it inconveniences you that I'm late, because you don't matter. That's what being late says, or at least to me it does. But a lot of times people are late to everything. And it has stopped being a thing. It is not a thing that person doesn't matter. They have grooved a pattern that is ruining their life, their reputation. And let me just tell you something, baby. Oh, you listen to me. Your reputation's all you got. You have a bad reputation, you're done. You're done. You may skate by for a while, but when you get a bad reputation, people don't trust you, regardless of what it is. Do you keep your word? Are you on time? Do you do what you said you're going to do? Do you take advantage of people? You develop a reputation. That person can't be trusted. I know, I've done business with him. Yeah, that's a reputation. And it's important that you pull yourself in line and realize that the little things that you're doing, the habits that you've formed. Now, again, let me just say this to you one more time. Show me your habit, and I'm going to show you your future. It's the truth. How do I get those habits? Well, sometimes it's just little thoughtless routines. How do I develop good habits? Determined routines. It's very uncomfortable for me to do it, but I'm going to do it today, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, and I'm going to do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day after that. Pretty soon, it becomes a part of me. You understand? It becomes a part of me. So the chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. And those little flaws, they remain unnoticed until, like I said, you hit a storm and all hell breaks loose. But if you want to change your life, this is where you're going to have to start. I get tickled people. I'm going to go win the lottery. Well, number one, that's dumb. You're not going to win the lottery. You're just going to waste whatever money that you've got, and you might as well just go out and set it on fire. You're not going to win the lottery. Seriously. You're not going to do it. So, get real with yourself and say, I've got to stop doing things that's taking me where I don't want to go. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be down. I don't want to be to the place that when something happens that I can't even fix my tire because I'm always so broke. How can I get there? Do you have a job? Well, let me just say, if you do, and you don't have any money, then I'm going to say it's the little habits that you have that have created the big problems. Again, the bits in the horse's mouth, the ship. Do you know how big? I haven't taken a cruise for a couple of years, but I am never ceased to be fascinated at the size of that monster. It's got to weigh 1 million pounds. How does it float? I mean, that seems impossible to me. But yet that great big city that floats is turned about with a rudder. Wherever the captain of the ship wants to go, he just turns the rudder, the ship turns. See, those are the little things. It's not the thing that makes the big changes in your life aren't big things. Like I said, I'm going to win the lottery. That's not what changes your life. Because a lot of people that have actually won money through the lottery go to them 5 years later, and their life is back in the same place that it was, because the same patterns that brought them into poverty in the first place keeps them there. You may raise their watermark for a while, but it's not long until their watermark comes right back down to their habits. You're going to have to change, guys. You want something different, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to change. You need to take counsel. Let me just say this real quickly. When I first started in ministry, this was back in 72. That was a world ago. My dad told me something that to this day I remember and I try to hold to. He said, son, always be open to constructive criticism. Now, not destructive criticism. Destructive criticism says this: I don't like you and there's nothing you can do. But constructive criticism says to you, you talk too much. You need to slow it down. You're doing this good, but you need to be doing it this way. Well, and he said, if you're not open to constructive criticism, you'll never grow. Have you ever been around somebody that you can't tell them anything? You try to help them, and they have to act like they know everything, and you can't instruct them. See, they're not open to that constructive criticism. And so as a father, I want to speak to you, and I want to say to you the same thing that was said to me, and be open to this constructive criticism. If your life is not where you want it to be, if your life is in a bad place or whatever the case is, don't just blame the world and blame society and blame parents and blame the government. There's only one thing that brought you to the place that you are now, and that's the decisions that you've made. And those decisions that you've made have produced a lifestyle that's resulted in habits whereby you walk your life out. I conduct my life, and I conduct through the decisions that I make. I'm grooving my swing. I'm developing habits, and it's producing a result. The life I live. Yeah, what was that? I wish I could remember. They said something about success is when luck and hard work meet. Or maybe it was the harder I work, the luckier I get, something like that. And I believe that. If you know where you want to go, come on. Don't look at things around you, look at things in you. That's where the change takes place. If I want to change my body type, if I want to lose weight, I have to look at my patterns, my habits. I love cookies. I do. I love cake. And I'm not kidding. I love this. I mean, I've got a sweet tooth that I'm thinking, good gracious, I need to get a handle on myself. And if I just let myself go, because here's what I was telling everybody the other day, and it's really true. Somebody bring us a cake, and I don't eat the whole thing. What I do is I'll walk by and I'll cut off a little slice of it, and then I'll just go on my way. Now, I didn't eat very much. It's just a little tiny bit. But then about 20 minutes later, I'll come by and I'll look at it, and I'll cut off another little slice of it. Well, you do that about 40 times, and you've eaten the entire cake in one night. and it takes a decision to not let that happen, because it has an effect on me that I don't want. It's like I said, you have your skinny clothes and you have your fat clothes, and I was smart enough not to throw my fat clothes away. But how can I get there? You know what I mean? Have you ever lost weight and you think, this time I'm going to keep it off? How many times have I said that? But the fact is I would get there because it's easy for me to develop a habit of doing something that's very small, but it affects so much. It's just a little busted copper water pipe, just a small pipe, a little hole that happened, but it's affected the entire building to the point that we have to tear half the building down just to fix it. A small thing. Again, the tongue. The Bible said is like a little flame that will set the whole forest on fire. So you have to you have to protect yourself against obvious things, because God's will for you is to be a success. But success doesn't just come on you. You have to take it. Success doesn't just happen to you. You have to want it. You have to go after it. You don't wait on your ship to come in. You swim out and get it. You got to do it. And the only way you do things like that is develop habits. You're cleaning your house. Can I just tell you this? It doesn't take, especially if you have kids or grandkids, dear God, in about 6 hours, it can look like a bomb went off in your house. So what you have to do is develop habits of cleaning, habits of putting things in its place, habits to where and towards it's a lifestyle rather than just a one-time event. God wants you to be prosperous, but you're going to have to start paying attention to the little things, because it's not the big things that brought you to where you are right now. It's the little things. So those are the things that you need to look at today, okay? I really believe that God's got plans for you. It's going to be fabulous. I do. I think your future is going to be so prosperous. You have such grace about you. You have such giftings, and you know it's the truth. You know it is. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cultivate that gift. That takes work. You're going to have to cultivate your finance. That takes work. You're going to have to cultivate your relationships. That takes work. And some takes more work than others. But it's worth it at the end of the day. I got to tell you, I mentioned this on Sunday, but I really wanted to, this really bears repeating. I was looking at the mess at our building, and man, I'll tell you what, the walls were all cut out, the insulation out, all of the baseboards were all taken off, carpet is a mess. And I was talking to one of the workers that was there, and I said, it's not very pretty, is it? And he just smiled, and he said, but it's going to be when it's done. And I thought, yes, it is. Can I just tell you this about your life? Maybe you're under construction, but you're going to be good when you're done. You are. You're going to be so good when you're done. So don't quit under pressure. Don't stop because things get hard. Just keep doing the little things, and it will produce blessing in life for you that is incredible. All right? Okay, that's what I got for you today. I love you guys. Thank you for joining with me today. I really enjoy my time with you. Please push like, push share. Go to my website, I'm thinking of the church, jerryedmon.com. And also, I've got a new book that it's on Amazon. Put Dr. Jerry Edmon. Go to Amazon Books, and you'll see the list of books that I've got there. But I just finished this one on women, and it's called From the Garden: The Journey of Women from the Garden of Eden to the Present Day. And it is fabulous. I promise you it's going to say some things to you that you've never heard before. It'll be so good. You can download it. All right. Love you guys. I do. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please join me. Okay. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.